Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Friday, January 2nd, 2015, around 8:24 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. Cold out, and it's clouding over a little bit. It's about 28 degrees out. Tomorrow's going to be cloudy and highs around 38 or so. Then we're going to get some snow tomorrow afternoon and night in the Billerica, Massachusetts area. Could come down as heavy, then transition to sleet, then freezing rain, and by Sunday morning all rain, and temperatures could bump up to 60. Some news to report. The U.S. junior hockey team lost to Russia today by a score of 3-2 in the World Junior Hockey Championships quarterfinals in Canada. The USA has been eliminated from contending for the World Juniors Championship. That's a shame. And the UMass Lowell Riverhawks hockey team beat RPI by the score of 7-3 today. And that's about it on the news. My third and final video subject of the night is the personality profile. And tonight's personality profile is about Milwaukee Brewers play-by-play announcer on Fox Sports Wisconsin and Turner Sports / CBS announcer Brian Anderson. Brian Anderson is one of the most rising stars on the professional sports scene for announcing and stuff. He's got a good gig with the Milwaukee Brewers, and then his stars rising for Turner Sports. Brian played catcher in college for St. Mary's University in Texas. He majored in English and he graduated in 1993. There's not too much background where Brian Anderson was born or where he grew up, but you know he loved baseball, so he played it in college. Brian started his broadcasting career as the play-by-play voice of the Double-A baseball team, the San Antonio Mission, for about 9 seasons. He also called Little League baseball games and minor league games for ESPN for 3 seasons from 1998 through 2000. In 1999, Brian Anderson signed with Fox Sports Southwest to become a sideline reporter for the San Antonio Spurs. He worked for the Spurs for 8 seasons, and he was with them for 3 of the NBA championships. And also, Brian worked for the Golf Channel for about 4 years between 2003 and 2006. He did some play-by-play for the PGA Tour events there. He also hosted the Golf Channel's coverage of the US Open, British Open, PGA Championship, and the Masters. And in 2007, Brian got his big break for a Major League Baseball team. He signed to do the play-by-play announcing of the Milwaukee Brewers for Fox Sports Wisconsin. He's been with Fox Sports Wisconsin doing the Brewers games ever since, and he's a great play-by-play announcer. Very great. In 2008, Brian signed with Turner Sports, and to work the Major League Baseball Division Series. He's been doing that ever since. And in 2011, Brian got to call the National League Championship Series between the St. Louis Cardinals and his hometown Milwaukee Brewers for TBS, because Ernie Johnson had to take a leave of absence during that time for family reasons, because Ernie Johnson's #1 play-by-play announcer for baseball for TBS. And also, Brian Anderson does some regular season games for TBS as well. And also, Brian Anderson has been doing some more sports for Turner Sports. In 2012, Brian did the NCAA men's basketball tournament for Turner Sports and CBS. He does the first second and third round games for the NCAA men's basketball tournament the first weekend, and this will be his 4th season. He's also done some golf play-by-play when TNT has the PGA Tour Championship, and he's been doing NBA games on Turner for TNT since last season, and Brian Anderson stars rising in the sports industry as a solid play-by-play announcer. Also, from time to time, Brian Anderson has called some college basketball games for Fox Sports 1, especially when they involve the Marquette, because that's in the Big East, and Brian Anderson lives in the Milwaukee area. And this season, Brian has called some NFL games on CBS when they need more than 6 announcers. He's maybe called 2 or 3 NFL games this year. Brian is praised by a lot of sports writers and people who work in the industry of play-by-play that Brian's going to be the next maybe star for Turner Sports. I wouldn't be surprised in the next few years if Brian Anderson becomes the #1 play-by-play announcer for the MLB on TBS, doing like the Division Series and the League Championship Series. He knows baseball, Brian Anderson, and I don't think Ernie Johnson's really suited for play-by-play. Ernie Johnson's best for studio hosting, and I think Brian Anderson would be great as the #1 play-by-play announcer for TBS baseball. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Anderson is on the NBA's, on TNT's play-by-play and announce roster on a regular basis, especially when Marv Albert finally decides to retire, because Marv's getting up there in age, even though it's still good, but sooner or later Marv's going to retire, and probably Brian Anderson might get the #2 slot for the NBA on TNT, but who knows, maybe he'll get #1 as well. And that's about it on him. And I'll be back tomorrow, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, with 3 more video blogs. First video blog of the day will be about the top 10 greatest Milwaukee Brewers pitchers of all time. Then the next one will be about the new digital over-the-air network called The Works. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about free agent NHL goaltender Tim Thomas. And coming soon to these video blogs, maybe on Sunday, will be a personality profile on the former WWE superstar, the Native American Tatanka. Next week will be top 10 list, will include the greatest Minnesota Twins players and pitchers of all time, and probably the top 10 greatest St. Louis Cardinals players and pitchers of all time. And also the personality profile video blogs this week. Next week will be about 4 game show hosts. Chuck Rowley, Wink Martindale, Bob Eubanks, and Alex Trebek. And coming in 10 more days to these video blogs, it's time to rumble. It's time for the Royal Rumble. I'm going to preview the first 13. Reveal the first 13 WWE Royal Rumbles from 1988 through 2000. They're going to be real interesting. And maybe later on, when it's WrestleMania season, I might reveal the first maybe 17 WrestleManias. And don't forget Julie Broughton and Heidi Pratt's video blogs are definitely coming. Good night, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. See you tomorrow.